Okay, a very good morning to Dr. Kavita and fellow friends. So we are group 30 and our topic is gender constructing and conditioning. So gender constructing is a process, and unlike biological sex, which is determined biologically, gender is formed socially. And then we can say that a person's gender can be totally different from biological sex. And since gender is formed socially, we can say that gender is a product of society, and that the society can define or change what is to be considered as masculinity and femininity. And in this presentation, we are going to talk about various topics about gender constructing and conditioning.
So, what is masculinity? It is a set of attributes, behavior, and roles associated with men. It can also be defined as the potential to sexually attract females, such as being muscular, aggressive, independent, and so on. Family is the first agent of socialization. Boys are allowed more autonomy and independence at an early age than daughters. They are free from performing domestic duty and always perform tasks that require strength or dominance. So boys are educated to be more independent and strong since they are young. For education, teachers always present curricular material that contain gender stereotype behavior, which in turn guide the boys' own preference and behavior. They facilitate children's gender bias by making gender as important by using it to label and organize students. For example, asking people to line out by gender, or boys are only allowed in short hair, not long hair. Here also exhibit masculinity stereotype behavior. Children tend to select same-sex playmates, and boys will gather to play boys games such as toy car, fighting games, so their behavior become more stereotyped by punishing from whom, falling to conform to stereotype via verbal harassment or physical expression. Mass media also serve in gender socialization. Research indicate that in the 10 top-grossing G-rated movie the years, 9 out of 10 characters were male. In general, men are present in roles that involve leadership, intelligence, and so on.
Certain elements that can be drilled to secure a sense of masculinity are the types of toys that they play, the outfits they wear, which are facilitated by their parents, usually chosen by them at an early age. The type of games, sports, and chores that they do in their early lives also play a part. The behavioral patterns and social interactions that they have as a young child can be a factor as well. Now, how did these elements get constructed in the first place? Well, to go as far back as the early stages of humanity, the status quo is that most entertainment, occupational, and education are mostly geared towards males. The reasoning behind this, like I said, is purely from the starting point of civilization. The primal stages of humanity, males are the predominant sex. Therefore, society is often led by said males in modern times. And in today's digital age, we simply propagate this idea more frequently and exaggerate its main traits more. Hence, media are oftentimes made by males and consumed by them as well, that inspires the next generation and so on. The deconstruction of the male stereotype is an important factor as to prevent future biases from festering into a bigger problem, such as that toxic masculinity. Education of gender roles and selectively breaking some stereotypes that are the most effective way of curbing them. Allowing toys from both genders for them to play, such as that of the image here, to allow dolls to be played for boys at a young age. Give gender-neutral games, media, books, or puzzles that does not exhibit an obvious stereotype. For example, letting their kids watch a popular TV show that are instead geared towards females, like Barbie or Powerpuff Girls, for an example. Expose them to a variety of tasks that may not be typical for their gender. For example, mechanical work for young girls, cooking and cleaning for the young boys. Encourage positive behavior traits such as being neat, generous, soft-spoken, and also be mindful of the behaviors that they act and imitate. Children are a mimic machine. Understanding the gender of their friends and referring them to a name they're comfortable with are pivotal in helping them to break down these stereotypes later in their lives. That is all for me. Thank you.
Femininity is a set of attributes, behaviors, and roles generally associated with women and girls. Although femininity is socially constructed, research indicates that some behaviors considered feminine are biologically influenced. It is distinct from the definition of the biological female sex, as both males and females can exhibit feminine traits. The traits associated with femininity vary across societies and individuals, and are influenced by a variety of social and cultural factors. Biofemininity is about having a combination of both soft and strong attributes. The modern woman has the balance of being able to show a soft and supportive side, while at the same time demonstrating strength. She's resilient, know what she wants, and speaks her mind. That's all for me. Thank you.
Society cares more about men, like certain parents always give what their sons want, but not for their daughters. In certain countries, like India, female, especially young girls, are seen as disgrace to a family. They are often getting bullied and humiliated at school. It eventually causes them to commit suicide. And this is not the worst case yet. Newborn girls is getting bullied alive in India, and the cases like that are normal for them. Newborn lives are getting taken just because they are born as female. So that is all for me. Thank you.
In work culture, stereotypes and stigmas are often drivers forming impression about people and guide our decision, and preconception about gender have important consequences for the workplace. By these stereotypes and stigmas, women and men are treated differently or offered different opportunities based on their gender. Women are too emotional, women leaders are bossy, women don't need equal pay because they are supported by their husband. These are the stereotypes that women receive in the workplace. Women of feminine personality traits are more to feel sensitive, naive, graceful, accepting, and being emotional. Dominant women are perceived less likable and less likely to get hired than men. Women negotiate poorly, lack confidence, and does not put in the requisite hours at work because they value their families more than their careers. The feminized in work culture could be harmful to women to feel that they are not allowed to be independent, smart, and assertive. For example, in 2016 survey, more than 30,000 employees found that women who negotiated for promotion were 30% more likely than men to be labeled intimidating, bossy, or aggressive. Stereotypes and stigmas that men receive in workplace is men are too impersonal and not emotionally appropriate to take tasks better done by women. Men are not aggressive or assertive are manly and likely gay, and men who are spend time with family are less masculine and poor breadwinners. Men traits traditionally associated with male gender roles, such as dominance and confidence, are also those that are considered essential for leadership position. Men are typically seen by society as exhibiting masculine characteristics such as leadership, strength, and assertiveness. Top positions in economy, politics, and science are almost exclusively filled by men. Masculineness in work culture could be harmful and give negative effect on men because they are not allowed to cry or express their sensitive emotion, or as they will be considered as less masculine or unmanly. That's all for me, thank you.
First, underestimate and do not pay enough attention towards the wellness of mental health, as assuming it as a petty issue, but at the recent times, people have been paying hefty amount of importance towards this issue as the mental health is being discussed everywhere. Although the issue is being in the limelight all of a sudden, but there are some typical-minded people who still do not pay heed towards this issue. Plenty of us look down on those who admit publicly that they are suffering from mental illness. They're talking about the stigmas and stereotypes that circulates around the society about mental illness. There are plenty of examples related to it. Some of it are where people who suffer from mental illness being labeled as pathetic, Being isolated from the society and being called as mental, lazy, psycho, and crazy, people with anxiety problems being labeled as cowards, and many more. This seems to worsen the problem and does not help to deal with it. Many types of stigmas can be identified which are related to the public, self-stigmas, and many more. Examples of the consequences that is being led by these stigmas are not being able to get a good job, gaining despised look from the society, degrading ourselves on doing a job or a chore, as we tend to get the thought that we are not capable of doing even it is a simple one. These stigmas are formed by the lack of understanding among the society regarding the mental issue. Plenty of measures should be enforced to bring awareness to issues revolving around mental health, like talking publicly about it as a way of breaking the stigmas and stereotypes. Other than that, accept the people who suffer with mental illness with open mind and treat them equally and help them to curb the problem. Moreover, we should stop people and raise our voice against people who talk bad about the people who are being affected with the mental illness. Thank you.
In the past or traditional time, parents always tell their daughter that academic is useless since at the end, woman's role is just to do house chore, and women also should be submissive and just show to be quiet to show how obedient they are. But in modern times, parents encourage women to further their studies since they realize that academic can change a lot of things. Even now, women will teach to be bold and louder, like in case she talked about sexism joke that made by her teacher to raise awareness in school. Now, for the second part, for men, parents always taught their son to be masculine and alpha in the past. This means men should not do house chore and just let women to do it. Men also should not be friendly with women and they should do men-related activity only, such as heavy work, hunting, and others. But in modern time, parents taught women should do house chore too since it is not more a gender-oriented task, and now men also develop their career in professions dominated by women in the past, such as nurse, fashion designer, and chef. That's all for me. We will move on to the next presenter.
For the traditional girls, don't have work experience. Modern girls have work experience, and the traditional girls dress conservatively and don't be sport. And for the modern girls, they have freedom of dress. Traditional girls are not allowed to show their face and work is forbidden. Their main job is just focus to take care of their husband and child. And for the modern girls, they work hard before the marriage and just maintain a positive attitude. They continue to learn how to improve themselves in an increasingly competitive modern environment. And traditional girls cannot show their body, the part of their body to men or other than husband. But the modern girls have freedom to dress, wear beautiful, comfortably worn. The most important things about the modern girls' clothes is to match what they want. And for the traditional boy, they believe the polygamy is correct and women only exist for reproduction. They believe the woman just a tool in their life and don't know to respect their wife. And for the modern boys, they respect the monogamy. They just only get married when they truly want love and other. They don't want to marry the girls they don't like. They are responsible for their life. For the traditional boys are autocratic. They think the girls should not interfere too much in their own affair. They don't like the girls who smart because the traditional boys think it's a good thing for women or girls don't have any talent. Modern boys are enlightened and open-minded and more willing to accept the opinion of others. They will accept mainly and like girls who are independent. And I will pass to the next presenter. That's all for me. Thank you.
Modern technology is a marvelous thing. It can increase accuracy and efficiency, perform tedious and redundant tasks, improve the decision-making process, and in general, make life and work a lot easier. It is not only how women do science which matters, but what science does to women. Not simply women's lack of power to shape technologies, but also the effect of existing technologies upon women's life. Though there is a growing literature on both production and consumption, My focus here is on production. Firstly, the historical work. Feminist work has revealed many examples of the introductions of technology, which is accompanied by the exclusions of women from the new skill required and the displacements of their labor and reclassifications of their jobs as low-skilled. However, evidence has also been found of benefits because of the general expansions of employment. For instance, the typewriter helped to establish secretarial work as a female domain, which saw a loss of status for secretaries from the 1880s. For example, Carol Scholl accused that it did not instigate women's entry into offices but accelerated their numerical domination. Another example is Frida S. Rose had also described how the increasing size of airplanes contributed to the organizations of women flight attendants in the period on year 1974 to year 1978. The view that men shape work to protect their gender interests assume that gender is monolithic rather than multidimensional and internally inconsistent. It also assumed that men are omnipotent, that they know what their gender interests are and have power to construct the world the way they want. Feminist research needs both to question male power rather than assume its existence, and to examine what its limitations are. Hence, we can see that from the historical work, the technology has impacted women's production life. Last but not least, widening spaces and empowering women. The internet allows access to unlimited information and knowledge and provides a platform for economic, social, and political participation. The formerly excluded and marginalized are able to participate and are given a voice and new identity in our information society. Women in particular benefit from these avenues for participation and organization. As the new technologies overcome women-specific barriers to female participation, women's responsibility within the household and their limited mobility affect the time available to them and the spaces they can access. Technology, however, minimizes the importance of time and space. The anonymity of the internet makes the gender of the user invisible and, as a consequence, recruits gender bias. Allows women to express their opinion fearlessly, access information without censorship, and provide a platform for organization and networking. Thus, neither the postmodernists nor the ecofeminist rejections of modern science have much to offer women seeking to within the gender boundaries or attempting to shift them to establish better terms. Study of women complex relation with science and technology in earlier times suggests that a more approach could indicate how certain group of women made gains or contribute to turn technology to their advantage. Hence, we can see that the technology has impacted women's production life on widening space and empowering women. Thank you, that's all.
Throughout this presentation, we can conclude that the society changes the way genders are constructed along time, in which we can see that in the traditional society and the modern society. And we can also say that the gender constructing is a lifelong process, as we are growing and experiencing different things each and every day from the moment we are born in this world.